Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is a trainer education, and we're going to cover the topic of stop blaming others. So one of the cool things I get to do in my business is I get to help other trainers and business owners. So I've been doing personal training now since I was 18. So that's 17 years I've been doing this. And I've owned Brutal Iron Gym now for 8 years. And it is my sole source of income. So it's what I do to pay my bills and live the life that I would am very grateful and blessed to have. So since I've been able to be successful in this business, just over time people ask you questions and you start being able to help other people. And as you know more, you can share more. And so we started getting requests for like consultations and whatnot, and I've actually gone to other gyms and kind of given them my thought and advice on what they could do to grow their business. And this would be either in like business structure, like I went to a gym and helped them rearrange their gym, and that actually made a huge difference because as you walk through the gym, you had to go through kind of the bro area where there was all their plate loaded heavy equipment. So all the women would have to walk through this very intimidating area, but it didn't work very well, and also just kind of newbies. So it was kind of like it was set up to where the most aggressive people was kind of like a punch in the face when you walked in the building. And then also they kind of had their cardio area where most of the beginners was right next to that aggressive area as well. So we kind of changed it, pushed the aggressive area to the back. It's not that we wouldn't have wanted aggressive people. And what I mean by aggressive is like the bigger, heavier lifters, the people who are a little more in shape, a little more muscled, they can move heavier things. And then also you would have like the big butt heads who just bang stuff around to try to look impressive. So you would want to have good shape, good people in your gym, but that isn't maybe necessarily the first thing you want somebody getting to see when they walk in. So instead, we rearranged it to where kind of the selectorized equipment was the first thing you would run into. So that way it promoted them to lift the weights over cardio. And it was the machines that kind of are already guided. They're not plate loaded, they're just pin select. So it was much more like beginner friendly. And then you would go on to the machines that were plate loaded, then you got on to free weights. And we kind of have the cardio more staring at the kind of selectorized stuff and the more kind of like functional training area. So it'd be less intimidating for everybody. So we've done that where we rearranged just the structure of a gym. And I've had other examples. I even got to work with CrossFit gyms and stuff. So we would rearrange stuff, just make it better. Talk about pricing structures, do personal training, advertising, social media marketing, all that kind of stuff. So that's super duper fun. And then I've also worked with individual trainers on how to kind of streamline their programming, how to get more clients, or how to handle the workload that they have with the clients they already have. So a lot of that stuff has been super duper fun to get to do. And I learn probably just as much as they do every time I do it. So it's really cool, very rewarding process. One of the downsides, though, is when you go into places or you talk to trainers that are kind of struggling, often what they discuss is the reasoning for their struggles is always someone or something else. Now, it is true that sometimes the someone or something else is the problem, but they never move past that. So really what I try to do is, it's kind of a general format, is you walk in, you find out what issues they have, and then you figure out what of that can you control, and then you control it. You do it, like you make the action to do it. So instead of walking into a place and saying, you might be able to rearrange a gym and, that might make a difference, and then you just kind of leave that as an idea, we actually physically started moving shit around and started doing it. So that's typically what I do is I walk in and say, okay, what's the issue? Of the issue, what can we control? And then let's freaking take some action and start controlling it. So that's kind of the basic formula. And like I said, what most people don't move past is they just start saying, such and such is the fault, or, this thing or that thing, and then they never take responsibility for making an action against that. So I have one example of an individual trainer who he didn't have enough clients, and he kind of blamed his excuse was that he said everybody thinks they already know everything, so no one wants to get any programming or nobody wants to get any training sessions. Well, that's dumb. This is like currently in our society now, there is like programs being sold more now than ever before. Ever. Literally ever. People buy more programs now than ever in history. And this guy thinks that people don't buy programs. There's not buying his program. So that's the more accurate description. And then he can't get training sessions, and he thinks like, oh, no one wants trainers. Whatever, man. Like, there's thousands of people getting personal trained just in the small city I live in. So we have a ton of clients getting trained and out of just our small gym. So we have a 100-member gym, and we probably have, let me see, 30, 40, 50. We probably have around 50 to 60 people who are getting trained out of our gym. Now, some of those are members, some of those are not. So it might be like 50 to 60 people out of maybe a pool of 120 to 140. So you're looking at almost 50% of the people we have are related in some way to personal training and programming. So there's tons of people out there that need it. What the problem with him is due to that kind of negative mindset, he had a really shit attitude on social media. Everything was like, here's an article about this, but I know no one's going to read it because everybody already knows everything. Well, that's just dumb. You're like, that's just a stupid behavior. And then all of a sudden, he'd also post like overly aggressive things. So like, train like you mean it, work out till you puke. Well, that's not going to get you a lot of clients. So that might get you like one insane psycho, which is all of us probably, because we've all puked. If you're a trainer, you probably train really hard. But you're not going to get the mass population with stuff like that. So he was overly negative on his social media post, overly psychotic in terms of intensity, and he also, just being honest, wasn't in good shape. He looked pretty average. He was also pretty average in strength. So without knowing anything about him, like from the outside perspective, so if somebody was looking at him as a trainer, without knowing anything about his story, you would say, okay, here's a guy who has a shit attitude, he seems really aggressive, and he looks very average. Why the hell would anybody hire that person as a personal trainer? Okay? So he was kind of shooting himself in the foot with his own actions. So he was blaming everybody else that nobody bought programming and nobody did training sessions, which was absolutely stupid because the reality of the market is that that's 100% false. So if he would have just looked up facts, he would have known he was wrong. And then he never looked at himself. So this person, the advice I gave them was to cheer the hell up, start sharing their journey, start focusing on educating others, and sharing real life positive and negatives for motivation. So don't make, hashtag beast mode posts all the time, because no one goes beast mode every day. Okay? So make a post where like you just take a picture of yourself and say, man, today was a struggle, but I came in, I did the best I could, and I moved one day forward. People can relate to that. They're not going to relate to hashtag beast mode every damn day. Okay? So that's an example where somebody was blaming other people, and therefore, I don't know what outcome this person would have expected. I don't know if they just expected to keep doing their own thing, and then somehow the entire world would change. That wasn't going to happen, clearly. So those were good steps that we had to take, and I haven't since followed up with this person because they didn't like my advice. So my advice was right, in my opinion, of course, but also I've helped other people do the same things, and they were always successful. So it would likely have helped, but the person wasn't ready to realize that they were the issue. So they kind of fought me, argued a little bit, and I wish them the best of luck. I hope they're doing some of those changes. But until they change something, nothing will change. So that was one of the quotes I left them with is, if you change nothing, nothing changes. So I said, you might not like anything I'm saying, but at least change something. Doesn't have to be in you. Just change something so something will start to change. So that was one example. I probably should have given an example that was a more positive example. But that's real life, so there it is. We also had a gym owner who his gym was kind of failing a little bit. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't really making a ton of money, and he was kind of struggling to support his family. And couldn't hold on to trainers. The membership was kind of dead a little bit. There was just really nothing growing, nothing going on. And he blamed the trainers for not being like proactive enough to get their own clients. He blamed the members for not telling other people about the gym. So everything was everybody else's fault. That's kind of the way it looked like. And when you looked at the trainers he brought in, they were like independent contractors, so he never had them on like a retainer. There was no salary or nothing. They just made whatever money they could make, and they paid him a percentage of the money. And He didn't have any educational support. Really didn't have any personal relationship with him at all. They were just supposed to drop off their money and then leave him the hell alone. Well, that's not a very good work environment. He had no kind of progressive pay scheme. It was just a blank fee for whatever they made. So there was nothing to kind of incentivize them to make more. And he didn't advertise for his trainers. So each of the trainers had like some, like piece of paper up on the front bulletin board amongst the other 4,000 papers with little pull tab things. Like, oh, if you want a training session, call this number, pull the tab, and call the number on the tab. That ain't gonna work. He just blended into the front board. There was no support on his side at all for his trainers. He wanted them to come in, do all of the work, and pay him money, just because he put a building together with some equipment in the room. That doesn't mean shit. That ain't gonna help. So that is not the completion of your work as a gym owner. That is just getting the base built, and then you got to work from now. So that's the basics, and then you got to actually work. So as for the gym, there was a very weak social media presence. There was no character. Everything was like the copy and pasted sharing shit from everybody else. So where it's like, like some lady in a skin tight outfit looks great, but it's like, come buy our protein and you can look sexy too. You're not making that post to help anybody. You're making that post to try to make money. So all of the posts were focused on sales, focused on trying to make money, or as a typical kind of like motivational BS that everybody copies and pastes. And like he was no different than 40 other gyms on social media. So there was just nothing. There was nothing going on. There's no education, no personalization, no character, nothing. So therefore, nothing was happening in the gym. He was giving his trainers nothing, therefore nothing was happening with the trainers. So that's kind of what we got to look at is, that as a gym owner is he's blaming his members for not advertising his gym. That's not their damn job. Your job is to advertise your gym. What the hell? You're blaming your trainers for not kind of growing themselves, and you're not doing jack shit to help them. Help them. Get invested into them. If you want them to invest into you by paying you money, you have to invest into them. Like I said, making a building with equipment in it doesn't mean shit. That is not what you need. That's not the completion of your work. Okay? So those are two examples. So if you're a personal trainer and you're actually still listening to this now, you haven't got annoyed with me being judgmental, what are you struggling with? So what's the things like that you are maybe blaming others for? So two common ones I get is somebody not having enough clients. And then the other one is clients aren't getting the results, they're not staying disciplined. I'm kind of just running through clients like, everybody's, lazy and, they're not working hard and, they're not motivated and they. So it's never the trainer's problem, it's always their problem. So somebody else's problem. So getting clients. Well, what are you doing? Like, how are you advertising yourself? So first of all, are you advertising yourself in a real and a positive manner? Real as in, like, don't sell them bullshit. People can tell if you're lying. Okay? So just advertise what you can really do. And educate. That's one of the things I think is super helpful about social media. And I try my best to, to be very honest, I don't even like intentionally do anything on social media. It just naturally kind of happens. But I try to share information just because I think it's fun. I'm excited to share things. So I try to share exercises or share programming information or share some type of educational material. And then I try to share like, my struggles or journey in life for myself. So share some personal aspects. So if I'm struggling with something like, maybe a life lesson, I'll make a post about it, which is actually usually therapy for myself. And then hopefully somebody else can, read the words and maybe it means something for them and they can improve their life. Sometimes I'll show if we're getting new equipment or if my dad and I are making something, kind of shows that the gym is growing or that there's excitement happening at the gym. So all these things have like side benefits. And like I said, I kind of just naturally started doing it and it worked well for me. And that's also something I don't see like when trainers are struggling usually, that's what they're missing doing. So one of the things I think is like a bad thing is trainers will say like, look at me, look what I'm doing, da-da-da-da-da. So, squatted 315 for 10 today. Okay, congratulations. Like, it's more meaningful if you tell everybody else how they can squat 315 for 10. So congratulations, good for you. But that isn't going to get you a client. So it might get you one or two clients that go, oh, I wish I could do that too. I want to be like that person. But it's not going to get you long-term successful clients. So what you want to do is empower other people. So there's, I forget the name of it, dang it, anyhow, I should look this up already. But there was a book I read, and it was about creating a story in marketing. And as a storyteller, is you want to set yourself up as the guide of the story, but not the hero. You want to make your potential client feel like the hero. So what this means is when you make a post saying, look what I've done, you are acting like the hero of the story. So all you're going to get is people who are sidekicks and fans, that kind of stuff. You instead want to empower people. Tell them how they can become the hero of their own story. Then they hire you as their guide. And that is a much better journey. They're already self-motivated because they're the hero, and they're seeking you out to guide them, not to do it for them, to guide them. Okay? So that's already setting up a better mindset clients. And then also it just kind of sets up a better expectation of you guys being shared in roles. So when you just post, look what I can do, and somebody says, I'd like to do that, they'll come to you and then they just expect you to do that for them. Make me like you. And it's like, no. I can just give you what I did, and then you have to go do it. So they don't come in with that mindset of a shared journey. They're just like, well, you did it for you, do it for me. So they want you to do it for them. That's a bad mindset. That's unsuccessful. So what you want, again, is make the client or the potential client the hero of the story. So they know that they have to become better. So they're looking for you to show them the way. Show them what work to do. They already know they have to do the work. So you can see how just that little switch in the framework of a social media post is posting how can you get 315 for 10 versus showing off how you did it yourself. So if you can teach other people how to empower themselves, everything will go better. Okay, with client mindset and clients being more long-term successful, long-term committed rather than being short-term. You can also offer like free classes or deals. So I remember like when I first started, I cut cheaper prices. I only trained for $20 an hour, which is very cheap. I remember I did like first consultation was free. So it was free for them just to come in and talk to me. And then I would tell them my ideas of what might get them on their journey. And then from there on out, they'd have to pay me. But that was a free invested hour right away. We did like Saturday morning like boot camps where I would only charge like $5, but the first time was free. So they got personal training in the group for $5. And the first time was free. So you have to lower down the walls. And what one of the walls is financial. So if you think that's an issue, then you got to check that and see if maybe you're charging, like if you're starting, like if you want to build clientele, you have to see what is your industry standard in your local area, then go slightly under that. Okay? Drop your ego. You're not so damn awesome that you need to be charging above the industry standard. If you were so awesome, you wouldn't need clients. Okay? So drop your ego, drop your price down. You don't have to charge nothing, but charge a little bit below your industry standard for your local area. Okay? Then, what's some other like hesitations we have? People kind of, they're hesitant on, maybe not feeling welcomed. So promote like, bring a friend and get a half off discount. Something like that. They're more likely to come if they can bring a friend and they know that like the friend doesn't have to pay. So maybe it's half off, meaning you're not going to charge the friend. So they can just get their buddy to come with them, whoever their buddy is, guy or girl, get them to bring a friend, and they'll be like, hey, I can ask so-and-so because it isn't going to cost her a dime. She just has to come with me, and I bet she would want to do that. So it kind of lowers down that wall. Another wall is people not feeling, feeling intimidated by you. So that one trainer who was hashtag beast mode everything and acting like a psycho, the people can't relate to that. You seem psychotic. They're not going to want to hang out with you. Okay? They're not going to want to get trained by you. So be personable. Be reasonable. Be somebody that's like, somebody's like, that person's a nice person. They're a happy person. I wouldn't mind hanging out with them for an hour. So lower down those walls of what you think is getting in the way. Okay? You can show current client progress. So show off what you're achieving with your clients you have now. If you can show that you can produce results, the people will think you can do the same for them, okay? And it's more than just showing yourself. So it is true that you need to share your own journey, your own struggles, and you need to be in decent shape, okay? So somebody might disagree with this, but your body is your advertisement of your knowledge. Now, if you've had a rough go at it, you've had some injuries, and maybe you're still like, maybe you were super overweight, now you're just moderately overweight, share that journey. People will only judge you based on the present moment if all they know about you is your present moment. So, maybe like you were like more fit when you were younger, but you had 2 or 3 kids and you're working your way back at it. Well, show some pictures of the kids or show the journey that you went through. Like, share your story. Tell them a little bit about you. Okay? That helps a ton. And then, like I said, show what you've been able to do with other people. So if you can do it for yourself and you can do it for other people, then anybody new is going to think you can do it for them, right? So those are some ideas, some examples. So it doesn't matter why people aren't coming in the sense of you can't just identify that and then just say, well, that's at fault. Who cares what fault it is? Like, figure out the problem so you know how to address it, but you have to address it. You can't just blame everybody else and stop. You have to create action. Okay, you have to take responsibility and create action. Okay? So, what about clients not being disciplined? Like we said, it's in advertising and how you bring them in. You have to bring them in with the mindset that you're their guide, not there to do it for them. Okay? So you need to emphasize the roles of each person in a client-trainer or trainer-client relationship. The trainer is the guide, the client is the worker. I just tell you what work to do, and you go do the work. Now, if you can't get the work in, we'll talk together, we'll work together, and I'll figure out how to make it, maybe, if you're, maybe it's too much work, we can modify it. If I'm asking you to eat this, this, and this, but you have a meeting at 10, so you can't eat that meal, well, then we'll modify and make it more applicable to your current life. So as a trainer, you need to create a work plan, so a guide that they can follow, but a guide that matches their lifestyle. So you can't just copy and paste shit from client to client. Don't do that. Please don't do that. So please quit as a trainer if that's what you're doing. Okay? Do not give all your clients the same damn workouts or the same meal plan. They are not all the same person. So don't do that. If you're doing that, quit. Either quit being a trainer or quit that and re-educate yourself and better commit to what you're doing. So these individuals are paying you money so you can help their individual lives with their individual problems. Don't copy and paste shit like an asshole and charge everybody full price. Okay, don't do that. So, sorry, I get grumpy about that. But what you want to do is emphasize that role. You're their guide, they're the one doing the work. You can also help provide accountability tracking. So if your client isn't currently tracking any of their behaviors, and they're kind of struggling and falling off here and there, they're not eating well, like we've talked about before, we have a chart that we give clients often. It's like a smiley face chart. They won't do the smiley faces and frowny faces, unfortunately. They change them into check marks and X's. Dorks. So, but is if they eat the meal they're supposed to eat, they get a check mark. If they miss a meal, they get a blank. If they eat the wrong thing, it's an X. And they have a meal slot for every day of the week, for every meal of every day, and every day of the week. So at the end of the week, you can look and say, okay, you were supposed to have maybe 30 meals this week, and you missed 4, you got 7 wrong, so that's 11 mistakes out of 30? Ugh. So you got to show them where they're making their mistakes, have them be more aware of their own behaviors, their own adherence. So if you do that, it gives them a bigger picture of what's actually going on, and they can see how much of it is actually their responsibility, not yours. Now, do we ever expect them to track 100% right all the time? Hell no, no one's perfect. So you just want them to get better than they were yesterday, or get better week to week, but the main goal would be to get to 90% adherence. So if they can adhere to a plan 90%, that's usually pretty damn good. Okay, and you'll still be able to get pretty good results out of people that way. So another thing we have is help them address mental and emotional issues and lifestyle issues that are getting in the way. So if you're having trouble with clients adhering to your programs, make sure, like I said, it fits their lifestyle. If they're not adhering well to the program, maybe because they're like, well, I don't feel comfortable coming in and working out on my own, so I've been missing those workouts. Well, find out what they're uncomfortable about. Maybe they don't feel familiar with something, so teach them that. Maybe they're uncomfortable just in the gym environment as a whole, so maybe you have to create some at-home workouts. So you have to work with them, okay? So find out what the reason is for why they're not adhering. And again, don't just identify the reason and then stop. Identify the reason and then create action for it. Okay, action towards it to try to correct it and address it. So, the other thing we have is continue your education. So if your clients are not getting results, maybe you're not a very good trainer yet. Maybe what you're telling them isn't right. Do you ever think maybe it was your fault? So I've told stories in the past where in back in the day, in like bodybuilding world, fasted cardio was supposed to be like the best thing in the world for people to lose body fat. Well, it was not a great idea because they lost muscle too. So then all of a sudden they found out, okay, well, instead of fasted cardio, have a very lean, fast digesting protein source. So that way, while you're doing your cardio, your body can burn off the protein source rather than your muscles. Well, then all of a sudden it turned into, well, you burn a lot of calories when you do fasted cardio, and your body's kind of in a stressed state. So maybe along with that lean protein source, you should have like a healthy fat. So now all of a sudden, instead of fasted cardio, it turned into just cardio after you ate a meal. So it was pretty damn dumb. But I remember I told all my clients, I said, hey, we're going to try this because it's touted as being the best thing, the latest thing. So I tried it myself. I tried it with my clients. We found out it didn't get the results that in the industry said it did. So we quit it and gave up on it way before the industry did. So sometimes you're going to try stuff and it ain't going to work. That's okay. You're learning with your clients. You're only going to, you can only know what you can know at one time. So every week or every month you should be getting smarter and smarter and trying new things. So just learn with your clients and continue to educate yourself. That'll over time help you get better adherence out of your clients because you'll be giving them better information. Okay? So those are two real quick examples. There's tons more, but I don't want to keep going because it's already long in this podcast. So think about whatever issue you're struggling with to grow yourself as a trainer or whatever else you're having, like issues you're having around being a trainer. So I've had even trainers talk about how the gym they're in doesn't support them well. So it might even be something like that, okay? So identify the contributing factors to the issue you're struggling with. And then figure out which one of those contributing factors you actually have some degree of control over or you have some ability to influence. And then start freaking doing it. Start influencing it. Start making up ideas and trying shit. Okay? Start changing things so things will change. Okay? So accept responsibility to make the change rather than complaining and changing nothing. Okay, like we said, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Duh. So what are you struggling with? So we've given examples of how we do consultations, and I'm very happy to do them, and we do charge money when they're pretty in-depth. So typically we'll do like an hour-long phone call, and then I spend an extra hour sending you information based on our phone call. So it's 2 hours of education for you. But I'm not doing this podcast to try to sell that service. I am offering it because it's how I make money, and a lot of people find it benefit. So find it helpful. So I want to offer that ability to help you if you would like that offer. Now, if you don't want to do the service and you still want some help, just shoot us a quick email with what issues you're having, and we'll try to give you a fast response, some books to check out, some resources to check out. And then I'll say, I might say like, hey, there might be more to this, so if you can do the session for the consultation, it might help. Or I might be like, hey, you don't even really need a consultation, just go read this book and apply these lessons. Boom, done. Okay? So if you want help, shoot us an email, brutalironjim@gmail.com. We'll help you out. Okay? We'll find a way. So, whatever your struggle is, if you blame others, you are giving them control, meaning that you're waiting for them to change for something to change. They're never going to change because you are not their priority. They have their own shit going on in their life. They're probably not going to change anything. So it's up to you to make the change. Okay? So you might not be responsible. It might not be your fault. However, you are the person that will be affected if nothing is changed. So therefore, you have to accept the role of changing things. Doesn't matter if it's your fault. We're not saying accept responsibility in the sense of accepting fault. We're saying accept responsibility in the fact that you have to make changes if you want something to change. Okay? So accept the responsibility to change things if you want something to change. Cool. So, hopefully this gave you some food for thought. Hopefully it gave you some motivation. So stop blaming other people. It doesn't matter who's at fault. It's your responsibility to start making changes if you want something to change. So figure out the issues, find out what of those issues you can address, and start frickin' addressing them. Doesn't even matter if what you know you're doing is right or wrong, just frickin' do something. Change something, so something will start to change. Cool. Okay. If you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. Also, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends.